to go on those interviews, especially being that
come here. You have to hear me.
is no longer alive. What's your reaction to this?
Well, I listened to Gowon's interview with Charles and Agolo of Arise News. That's a television. That's why I said it should come. I listened to him, and I felt so sorry with the things he said. The reason being that at 91 years of age, I shouldn't be joining issues with him. But I remember that when Babangida launched his book and made revelations in that his book, I was on television again, I think it was Arise News, to speak on the fallout of that book launch, wherein I challenged Gowon to write his own book about the Civil War. Because Babangida stated clearly that the coup wasn't an Igbo coup. The Igbo people have suffered gravely because of that coup. A coup that was plotted to bring Awolowo out of prison and make him president of Nigeria. The actors had written their books, and that was their common program. And the coup didn't succeed. And the Igbos have been put to the wall because of it. I felt that with Babangida's clear statement that it wasn't an Igbo coup, and he named Yorubas and Northerners that were part of that coup, it was a big relief to me, and I challenged Gowon to write his own book so Nigerians will read. So I was therefore disappointed that yesterday he granted an interview which showed the sign of dementia on his part. At 91, he appeared to have forgotten the things that happened. But some of us who worked with Ojukwu and interviewed him and got the records of what happened at that time disagree with all the things he said. One is that it was a big lie for him to say that the war was not against the Igbo people of Nigeria. What can be further from the truth? They said he was in Abeokuta. He wasn't in Abeokuta, and he heard about the insurrection in Abeokuta, and he was somewhere, and suddenly he saw how it ended. It snowballed into assassination of Ago Ironsi. That he wasn't part of the coup, he didn't know anything about it, but he later emerged as head of state after the coup, counter-coup was organized. That is somebody telling lies. And for him to say that the war was not against the Igbo people, I thought by now he should be apologizing to the Igbo people for the role he played in that civil war. Instead of coming here to challenge our sensibilities, that I think not challenging, it's insulting our sensibilities, that the war was not against the Igbos. Who were the victims of the war? The counter-coup was a cleansing of the Igbo officers in the Nigerian army. Igbo officers, you know, he couldn't say those who were killed from his own Plateau state or part of Nigeria in the counter-coup. He couldn't say that. So it was a reprisal coup against the Igbos, and Igbos were not only killed as military officers, their businesses were destroyed across Nigeria. And the Aburi Accord, which he has misrepresented in his interview, is the greatest travesty. One was that I worked with Ojukwu for 5 years, and I asked him questions about these things, and including Aburi Accord. He told me that at Aburi, they all agreed to confederation. Confederation means that the regions will become confederate states, and every region will continue to develop at its own pace. That is the essence of the meaning of confederation. And when they agreed on all this, that General Ankara carried himself, General Ankara and Gowon and Ojukwu were at the back of the same car when they were being taken to the airport. And that Ankara took Gowon's hand and Ojukwu's hand, put them together, and said that they should go and implement the agreements of this Aburi, you know. And he told Gowon right there, Ojukwu said he told Gowon that if Gowon gets home and announces the agreements reached here, that he will be the first person to propose Gowon as the head of state of Nigeria. And when they all left, they came back to Nigeria. Days went by, Gowon didn't announce anything. He didn't address the nation on what they agreed in Aburi. In Gowon's account yesterday, I was shocked to hear him say that when he returned, he had malaria. And because he had fever, he delayed his announcing the agreements reached in Aburi. So at his age, he didn't need to start lying. When he came back, his advisors told him to renege on all the things agreed in Aburi. So it was Gowon who plunged the country into that civil war. It was because he refused to announce the agreements reached in Aburi. Ojukwu waited for him, and things were not getting better. And Ojukwu now, I don't even think that he made a formal broadcast. He leaked the agreements reached in Aburi, and he was still waiting on Gowon to do the needful. Gowon now said that if Ojukwu had not said the things agreed in Aburi, that I wouldn't be anywhere, that he would have said the same thing by himself, but if not for malaria that he was suffering from. So I think he has not done what he should be doing at this late stage of his life. It is time for him to begin to speak the truth, to heal the wounds of that war. Everybody has moved on. The war is 55 years today that it ended. But to come back at 91 years of age and tell these obvious lies means that he is not thinking about how to leave Nigeria in peace. He said he fought for Nigeria to be one. That's what he said. That the reason for fighting the civil war was to keep Nigeria as one. Is Nigeria one today? Nigeria is not one today. The president was in Benue yesterday, where people of his own zone are being slaughtered on a daily basis in the past years. So what has he done to make Nigeria a better country? So I think that I still challenge him again to write his own truthful account of what happened in Nigeria under his watch, so that truth is an open word, conscience is an open word, only the truth will heal it. So he should stop running around. Let him come out boldly and say sorry to the Igbo people of Nigeria. Because remember, the coup brought out to Awolowo from prison. And instead of using Awolowo to unite Nigeria, he brought him and made him Federal Commissioner for Finance under his government. And they started driving economic policies that were aimed at exterminating the Igbos in Nigeria. So he was the person who laid the foundation for all these problems we're having. And he was the one who brought the Southeast, the Igbos and the Yorubas, at crossroads. Mistrust came in because Awolowo was released by Ojukwu after when the problem of Biafra was declared. So in trying to gather people, he now brought Gowon. Instead of uniting the country, he made him Federal Commissioner for Finance. He knows the purpose for that. And we have paid dearly for it. We don't want to be insulted more, because doing these things will aggravate our wound. We want to bury the wounds of the past. So let him stop speaking. If he doesn't want to say the truth, let him go and write his own book, so that when he's no more, his book will be circulated and will be judged. Ojukwu is not alive to join issue with him. When Ojukwu was alive, he was talking. Gowon refused to talk. And now that he's talking, it's very unfortunate. T.Y. Danjuma is still alive. He was the one that led the arrest of Gowon, and his unfortunate, arrest and his unfortunate assassination. So I don't know what T.Y. will be thinking after hearing Gowon that he wasn't part of the coup, that he didn't know anything about what happened in Nigeria, and suddenly saw himself as head of state of Nigeria. How can somebody say this type of thing? So what is he trying to say for us to believe? So thank you very much.
This man, Tony Ume, said that Nigerians have actually moved on after the war. Let me ask, has Nigerians actually moved on after the war with all these killings everywhere, every day? Was the purpose of fighting the war achieved? Is there any peace and unity anywhere in Nigeria? I believe that the purpose of the war was never achieved. Watching, was the purpose of fighting the war actually achieved? Is Nigeria actually won? Let me know your thought in the comment section. Thanks for watching, okay?